Γεια σας αγαπημένοι μου, είμαι η Άντζελα Τίκη και σας καλωσορίζω σε μία ειδική εκπομπή όπου θα αναλύσουμε από την αστρολογική σκοπιά βεβαίως αυτούς τους έντονους αλλά και αβέβαιους καιρούς που διανύουμε, αλλά και ποιες είναι οι πιθανές προοπτικές και εξελίξεις. Καλεσμένος σήμερα είναι ένας αστρολόγος που εκτιμώ ιδιαίτερα, με εκτενείς έρευνες σε πλανητικά και αστρονομικά φαινόμενα και πώς αυτά μας επηρεάζουν ατομικά αλλά και ως κοινωνία και ως κόσμος γενικότερα, τα οποία και θα μας παρουσιάσει στη συνέχεια. Ως Gaiden, my friend Öner, welcome and thank you for accepting the invitation.
Hoş bulduk, my friend Angela. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
In these difficult times and these extreme times, let's say, you have a lot to tell us about your research and what's going on and your insight and your perspective and where the world is going. You have told me a few things a month ago during your conference. You told me something which was it made me think, well, is this dystopic? Is this the world that we are going to have in the future? You set some dates, but anyway, you're going to talk about this and, well, introduce your knowledge and what you know and think to the Greek audience. And let me say and share a few things about you. Öner Döşer, my friend, is a professional consultant astrologer based in Istanbul. You're an instructor and you have the top school in Istanbul, the Astro School, Astro Art, School of Astrology. And you are also an instructor at Kepler College, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are a writer. You have 39 books.
Yeah. It actually is 40.
Oh,
Yeah. But
okay,
the
40,
last book
yeah. I
on
have
the
so
sun.
many. All my shelves are,
Yeah.
full of your books in English, from, the
Oh, thank you.
introductory ones to more specialized with traditional, of course, astrology, basically,
Mhm.
right? And,
Mhm.
share the techniques, more specialized. I have a lot of books. I miss only three.
Thank you.
So you organize the annual International Astrology Days conference for 15 continuous years, right?
Yes, it will
Yeah.
continue. Thank
And
you.
thank you very much because you have invited me twice and I was there last month.
Yeah.
And also you organize workshops. You are on TV. You are an OPA and ISR certified astrologer. ISR certified?
Yes. Yes.
And of course, the representative of OPA for Turkey. So we are brother representatives, me for Greece, you for Turkey.
Yeah.
And a researcher, because you do a lot of research and intention texts. And also, this is what you're going to talk about to us today on,
Sun. Yes.
on the
Solar activities. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, Angela, once again. And your presentation when you were here, perfect. People were very happy. All the students said good comments about you. So thank you very much once again for that. And hello to everyone in Greece. And we are brothers and sisters, Turkey and Greece, of course. My grandmother was actually Greek in origin. Rum, we call.
Romia.
Uh, yes, yes, her name was Androniki, actually.
Wow.
And yeah, and her sister's name, Efterpi. And uh, so yes, I'm searching about the solar activities. I made some books on it. Actually, may I share my slides, please? And I'm going to show you something interesting today. I hope you can see full
Yep.
screen, right?
No, it's
Okay,
not full.
so
Yeah, no.
yeah, it's now. Yeah, these are my books, which I talked about the sun, actually. It was on the left about 2012, written by myself on 2009. In this book, I gave some places to solar activities because I was very interested in Maya, Maya tradition and what happened to Mayas, how their culture was lost in a few time in the history. So when I was making a research, I saw many things about the sun, solar activities, and the cause of their loss. So it interested me very much. And starting from there, which was 2008, I made a research and I put something into this book. But uh, after that, I made some additional research, and in the next month, by the way, dönüşüm zamanı means time of transition,
Mhm.
and Büyük Uyanış was the next one in 2010, Great Awakening. And in here, as you can see in the cover, there was a big solar activity, big, you know, lights from the sun, which actually awakened the people. And the next one was on maximum, solar maximum. It was 2012. This book was totally on the sun, about the sun, I mean, solar activities. But at that time, I think people did not understood very well, did not understand very well because they did not have much idea about the importance of the solar activities. And then I made some translations of these books. Translation was the English version of my first book. Then Maximum is about the maximum in Turkish, and heliocentric astrology, which later translated into Turkish, Güneş merkezli astrology, which you see at the right. All right, thank you very much. I'm very glad to see that. And Güneş'le rendezvous means appointment with the sun. This again is totally related with the sun. So let's talk a bit about the solar activities and its effects on human life. First of all, solar activities, sometimes maximum, sometimes minimum. I mean, sometimes we have less, sometimes we have very much. So its effects on human life, first of all, on psychology and behavior, as well as the evaluation of the humanity in general. And also, it you know, its effects are related with our health and quality of life. When we have less sunspots, we are decreased. I mean, our energy is decreased. When we have much solar activities, we are increased in the energy, actually, normally, as we have seen in the sun and the sky. But also, since we have many particles coming from the sun, when they
Mhm.
are too much, then it makes an aggression as well as, the energy is increasing
The
suddenly.
life giver.
Yeah, exactly. And also it affects our DNA. So evolutionary changes are likely. And it affects our brain functions, hormone levels, heart functions, and everything in our body actually, um, as well as our nerve system. So nerve system takes all the effects of the sun as well as the planets, which actually affects in the end our attitudes and reflect to them. And of course, when we have much solar energy, terrorism, violence, riots, war, and revolution is increasing as we are having at the moment because we are in the maximum phase of the sun, as I will be speaking a bit later, which started actually by the end of last year. The maximum is July 2025, but still in the next years we will have solar maximum.
And if
So,
you allow me, I think that
sure.
NASA, was expecting, of course, because it's a cycle, repetitive cycle. This is something that you're going to explain later, I suppose.
Uh-huh.
But this time it was more intense than anticipated, right? Am I right about it?
You are very right. Thank you very much for sharing this. And they are some of the researchers are saying that this will be double or double effect actually. And this is very related to our evolution because in our evaluation, we know very well that the planets and their effects are very important. And now we are about to have Uranus in Gemini, trying to Pluto in Aquarius, sextile to Neptune, Saturn in Aries. So we will have interesting and very powerful planetary alignments, aspects to each other. This geometry indicates that 2025, 2026 will be very important in the humanities evaluation, as well as the solar activities, because at the same time we are in the maximum phase of the sun. What does this mean? The planets will be more effective. The planet's effects on us will be more you know, intense, I can say.
Yeah.
Uh, in other times, maybe we are having some planetary effects, some trines, sextiles, squares, positions, this kind of. But this time it will be more effective because we are in the maximum phase of the sun. This is one of the most important topic, actually. And our culture, literature, art, science, and technology is affected, as well as the agriculture, food production, and the prices. When we have much sunspot and when we have more solar activities, that means we will have good production of the food, actually agriculture.
Hmm.
When we have less of them, these are, becoming
Oh,
decreasing. Yes, and
interesting.
that's why in solar minimum times are more difficulty in agriculture. And since we have food prices high in our time, maybe people think that why this is so, because normally solar activity is high, the production is good. But what's happening? There's a violence, there's war. So this caused some difficulty in production or in transportation of all these, as it happened to Ukraine when they have a war with Russia. So the prices are getting high. Otherwise, normally, as an astronomer, astrologer, William Herschel pointed out in his time, and he tried to make prediction for the first time on food prices.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, and relying on the sunspots in the sky. And he made a good prediction and he was right. So actually, the first one who relied on the sunspots
Yes.
about the economical condition was not an economist, was an astronomer as well as an astrologer.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah, and geomagnetic storms are mostly cause of the solar activities, but not the only cause of the geomagnetic storms are solar activities. The planets also can be cause of these geomagnetic storms, as well as lunation, especially full moons are
Hmm.
very much related with geomagnetic storm. So its fluctuations, geomagnetic activities fluctuations is very related with our psychology as well as physical health. But also short-wave radio signals are affected, voltage increases
Hmm.
or decreases, power plant, all very affected from these activities.
And there are
And
examples because it has happened in the past.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And hormonal brain waves, hormonal things are affected. But what is the most important? Just look behind, just look below. Men are more affected by magnetic storms originated from the sun,
Hmm.
and women are more affected magnetic storms originated from the moon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
Guess why? As an astrologer, the sun indicates man and the woman are indicated by the moon. Of course,
yeah.
this is very normal. This is a research by Burial Payne, who was an actually a psychologist who was later interested with astrology. And solar activity causes solar winds, which particle current, and changes or irregularities in Earth magnetic fields. It affects our gland, brain waves, hormones, human organism, human behavior, and all the events
Yes.
at the end affected from them. And also the planets affects us. Uh, Through the sunspot cycle, Jupiter and Saturn are very related with sunspot cycles, solar maximums and solar minimums. But also they affect all the sunspots formation and solar winds and then geomagnetic activities. So through these are our systems. And geomagnetic field changes, which is not stable all the time, affects our brain rhythms.
Mhm.
By the way, the people must not think all these only negative. These are necessary for our evaluation. So more consciousness attitudes or some exploration, Eureka mode are also
Yeah.
related with solar activities. We need solar activities. If we don't have much solar flares, which mostly we are having them, if we don't have, especially in during the solar minimum, then our magnetic field is weakening because no stress from outside.
No
And then,
energy to feed.
yeah, no energy. And then we are taking bad lights from the cosmic rays from the outer space. Then we are more prone to or open to epidemics,
Yeah.
pandemics.
Yeah. Yeah.
As it happened by the end of 2019, 2020, it was solar minimum. So what happened later? Pandemic.
Yeah.
And changes in brain waves, of course, affects us through our sleep modes, meditation, visualization, and concentrate or unconcentrate attention focus. So each geomagnetic style is different. It has different effects on people, and astrology studies actually are related to magnetic styles, which is important.
Okay.
We
May I
have,
say something here? Just
sure,
okay.
sure.
It was funny because during the last 2, 3 months, I was keep repeating because you said it affects men mostly, right? For the maximum we're talking about. And I was telling my son, what's the common thing you see? I said, what do I think? I mean, about what's going on in the world. And I said one word, men. I see a lot of men,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
aggressive men. Yeah.
That that's true. Of course, women are also affected, but men more. And in our time, mostly leaders are men.
Man.
And look at the world, very aggressive.
Yeah.
So I was thinking in solar maximum times, we should make women leaders. And we
It'd be
have
easier.
but mostly we have to be careful because then in the lunation, women are more irritated.
Yes,
So
exactly.
we have to change.
And wait.
This, yeah, this is a joke, of course, but to be in good relationship with each other when we are irritated is very important, and so make people more calm.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have 5 levels in geomagnetic storm. G5 is the extreme one, which actually affects all the electrical kind of things because we have electrification. So blackouts in radio signals and power grid failures are possible. Navigation systems all are possible at that time. And a bit lesser than that, Sevre, almost the same thing. The minor is G1
Mhm.
and moderate is G2. After that, beginning from G3, it means strong. So we will get more effect on our systems. So we will affect, I mean, we all
Yeah.
affect economic, politic, or any other kind of relationships and events, actually. And these are very important. So in maximum times, which observation made since 1750, almost every 11 years we have maximums. Of course, it changes between 9 to 13 years, actually,
Mhm.
but almost 11 years, like Jupiter-Saturn conjunctions and oppositions every 10 and 20 years. Almost that, because they are very much related with minimums and maximums. They are squares, and we have two squares between Jupiter and Saturn in a cycle for 20 years. Now, after 2020, which they were in conjunction, now we are in 2025 in a maximum time again. So it is very important for our daily life, but as well as climate changes. Not only 11-year cycles, we have some other cycles as well. For example, 180, 200-year cycle, 500-year cycle, and bigger cycles. We are now in 11 years solar maximum, which happened to us every 11 years, but also we are in grand maxima, which started in 1910s, around the First World War, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, beginning from that time, we are in the grand maximum. Still, we didn't maybe complete it, but we are heading to solar minimum, grand minimum, actually, grand minimum. So some of the researchers are saying that beginning to 2030, I mean 2030, we
That's
will
the
be,
year you're talking about.
yeah, yeah, very important thing. We will be, yes, in grand minimum, but also grand minima, which will be a cold era, they are saying, until to 2050, some says 2045. We will see. So actually, these times are very important for our evaluation. Anyway, large solar flares and coronal mass ejections, which are coming from the corona of the sun, they are more intense. When we have an explosion in the sun, it takes us to see its light almost around 8 minutes, and it affects, we are feeling, by the way, almost in synchronization. But the effects of coronal mass ejection takes to arrive between 18 hours to 24 hours, even to 30 hours. So they are more intense because they have many other particles inside of it. It is slower than normal solar winds, but more effective on the geomagnetic field. And the latest estimates suggested that solar maximum, when the number of sunspots peaks, uh, will be in our time. Although we have still lesser than 200 sun points. Actually, a few before last August 2024, we had over 200 sunspots.
Hmm, hmm.
But interestingly, we are having lesser now in our time. Very interestingly, but if they increase in number quickly, then this means problem
Yeah,
for well, the events, including the earthquakes, volcanoes as well. So they are saying that this maximum would begin actually, as they said, November 2024, and in March 2026 it will be the higher. But in our day, in our time, July 2025 would be the maximum start.
we're there.
So yeah, we are there. As you see, we have some sunspots when we have around solar maximum, but we don't have any sunspots on the sun when we are in solar minimum. And in these solar maximums, we see many of the wars, many revolutions, many declaration of independence, and many other, you know, important things, as you can see here.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very
That's very
interesting.
interesting.
World War and the second one occurred when the solar maximum is at the work. And lastly, we had between 2013 and 2014, we had just 2 years ago of that, we had an Arab Spring, and then Gezi Park events in Turkey, 2013, coping Egypt, etc. And ISIS began to gain power rapidly in northern Syria, actually. Um, just before that, in 2001, we had bombing of Twin Towers, for example, and Israeli-Palestine tension again, and India-Pakistan tension. Can you see that?
We
What
had
did we
now,
have?
huh? We
Yeah,
had, yeah.
yeah, it is almost the same thing. I'm not very sure about the Taliban actions at the moment, but what we have since the last 1.5 year, around 2 years, Israeli-Palestine tension and more than tension, actually war. Unfortunately, big events happened there. And India-Pakistan, we just had it just 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, big tensions are likely in our time after this, between 2021, 25 and 2027. We have already Ukraine-Russia war, Israel destroyed, unfortunately, Gaza, and of course, Israel-Iran risk war is, increasing, and July,
Yeah,
August may further expand the atmosphere of war. By the way, China, Taiwan issue may erupt in autumn, and the tension between India and Pakistan. Actually, this had all written by myself. These are from the book, by the way.
I know, I know.
And now we had already. And Armenia and Azerbaijan may also erupt in any time. So this is a graphic that shows the effects of the solar activities on Earth. As you can see,
Hmm.
volcano eruption, earthquakes, some other natural disasters, and wars, and some other, turbulencing things, but also some internet and computer failures, power grid failures, which affect all the finance world as well, and our communication
Sorry, may I
into.
ask you something? Are you preparing something for the finance as a research in a book? Are you writing something on
Uh-huh.
finances through the solar activities?
Yes, exactly. By the way, Christine Skinner was our guest invitation for just last weekend. She was guest for us, and she talked about the solar activities, solar cycles, and their relationship with the financial
Hmm.
matters. And of course, she has some predictions. This weekend, by Sunday, we were in a television channel, actually. They will broadcast this just this weekend, so you will be able to see. I will
Yeah.
send you the link, and
Yes.
people can see as well. And of course, wars and protests, any other thing related with the solar activities are at work at these times. And one of the most important things, be careful about the heart and circulatory system, I would say. If someone has some weakenings on this side, they should be more careful, especially during July, when we have a new moon in Leo opposing to Pluto.
That
And
intense. That
that's
intense
that
moment.
very intense. That new moon is also related with nuclear or that kind of tension or some other things, because you know that in some of the accidents of nuclear are very related with Sun Pluto position. So I hope we don't get it
Yeah.
anyway. And these are some solar storms that causing outgates. For example, in September 1859, there was a solar flare which is at the
Yes.
level of X80, too much. In our cycle 2025, which is the 25th solar cycle, we had, until now, we had X9 at most.
So this was
X80 is,
X80.
yeah,
Wow.
8. So it was too much. And
Yeah.
there were interruption in global telegraph communications, and shocked telegraph operators and caused fires when discharges from the lines ignite telegraph paper. And there was not internet at that time. Now we have internet, and we are very much engaged to internet.
And
Everything depended
dependent.
on it. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And in May 1921, it affected all the railroad equipment and caused accidents. And also there were some communication problems, telephone lines affected, telegraph exchange affected. And in 1940, there was a superstorm again. Communication systems failed. In August 1972, again in March 1989, it was very important. It caused major power outage in Canada, Quebec, and
Yeah.
6 million people were without electricity for 9 hours. And then the other ones are also some samples, but November 2003, known as Halloween storms, which was one of the most important one. Again, there were some communication failures. And nowadays, what did we have? What do we have in general? Actually, we have interesting heliocentric aspects between the planets. What I'm showing now is a heliocentric astrology chart. In these charts, we don't have houses. We don't have the sun because we are looking from the center of the sun. This is why we have the Earth, as you can see here. For example, this is of June, 12th June, and the Earth is 21 Sag. That means the sun was in 21 Gemini, just the opposite of it. And as you can see, we had Mars-Neptune opposition with Jupiter at the midpoint. We had as well Mercury-Uranus square to each other. So this is from the share I made on social media saying that judging by the heliocentric planetary geometry dated June 12, 25, solar activity may intensify starting today, which happened later actually.
Mhm.
What will an effect on solar flare and geometric storm bring? Then I spoke about it and I made it in our astrology television YouTube channel. And I pointed some of important ones here with red, beginning from the 12th, 15, 16, it goes. And on the 13th, what did we have? We had a bombing from Israel to Iran, all started around that time.
Wow.
And geocentrically, what did we have? We had a full moon, which actually Mars was almost exactly on the ascendant on Tel Aviv, Israel. Uranus was at the top of the chart. And when we look at the geographical chart, we see that Mars was passing from Turkey as well as Cyprus, but around Israel, Jordan, around that area, and goes to actually all the other important
Mhm.
places in Saudi Arabia or Egypt, in that area, but passing from Israel. And Uranus also was passing almost from the area. So when we look at the whole world, we see that it was also at the top of the United States, actually, for the United States. This full moon was also very important. And in Donald Trump's chart, what did we have? We had an exact Mars return.
This is why I
And
laughed earlier, not for the war. I laughed for the degree. Yeah.
yes,
Mars.
exactly. As well as solar return and lunar return and Mercury return. Uh, these returns are indicator of something related with these planets will be turning around the chart owner, the native. I mean,
Mhm.
a planet's return is very important. Mars return is happening almost every 2 years. So it's not something happening to us every day. It is very important. Mercury return happens only once in a year, if
Here.
Mercury does not retrograde, of course, in
Unless
the
it
sign.
retrogrades, yes.
Yeah. But the sun happens to us every year, the moon every month. But what is the most important thing? This is the lunation what Donald Trump has when he is at his birth. So I said
Sorry,
something
which
will
is
be,
also an eclipse. He was
yeah,
born right on an
yeah,
eclipse. Yeah.
yeah. He was born on eclipse, lunation, lunar eclipse, yes. And with the Uranus in Gemini, of course, he's about to have a Uranus return, by the way. Anyway, so I said to myself by the beginning of this year, January 2025, around Donald Trump's presidency odds, I said to myself, wow, all this are indicating that in June there would be something very straggling turning around Donald Trump. And I started to make a research on it, and I made a video on it actually. Then I think that one of the most important lunation which affects the US chart was this lunation because it was on Mars of the US. Mars in the seventh house in Gemini means there will be some struggles with the other countries for the US. Warrior kind of things would be turning around. And because it is Gemini, it will be related with hard speaking, hard words, and very harsh, actually, uh, decides made by Donald Trump for sure. Why? Because this was his lunation.
Mhm.
All the planets, you know, Mars of the US is 21, Gemini, and in Donald Trump's chart, the moon is 21, Sag, the sun is 20, Gemini. So he would be the one who would make aggression related with the other countries, friend countries or foreign countries of the US, as well as Mars degree 26, 26 Mars. In the lunation, Mars was at 26 Leo. In Donald Trump's charts, Mars 26 Leo. And the moon in the US charts, 27
Yes.
Aquarius. So that means was the president would irritate the public in general with his some decide some sayings or some attitudes which actually did happen. In Los Angeles, there was big fluctuation in the public, and now because he is in war of Israel and Iran, bombing to Iran. Now this irritated more than ever. I
Yeah.
think the
He is the kind of guy which, anyway, separates a
uh,
lot of people, right? He either has a cult that
yeah.
you are fanatic with him,
Mhm.
or you have people who don't like him at all. It's
Yeah, yeah. You like him or you don't
or
like
you
him.
don't.
There's
Yeah, yeah, it's
no
true.
middle.
Yeah, it's true.
And in Benjamin Netanyahu's chart, it was again on 26 Leo. So this full moon also affected his chart. And of course, they have on an exact conjunction with the Donald Trump chart. Mars are all together. And the lunation of Mars in the lunation. So 26, 26, 26. Full moon, Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump. So as we have seen,
That's shocking. This is
this is
shocking. When you see it's how
yeah,
this does this happen? How can this, align so much?
yes, exactly. So this shows how astrology works actually, how an astrologer at work just 5, 6 months before the event. How can an astrologer can talk about all these with these charts?
Mhm.
Actually, for us, it is not that difficult. It's not maybe that big thing. Just focus on and find out something and share it. But of course, for the public, wow, how do you know? How do we know? Actually, we don't know. We make predictions. We don't know exactly. But how can we do it? The planets are over there. We know
Yeah.
what time that full moon happened, what time is the Mars return, what do we have in Donald Trump's chart, what do we have in Benjamin Netanyahu charts. So actually, this is not a big thing. But of course, if you focus well and if you work on the mundane astrology
Mhm.
or daily sun sign astrology is not enough for this, saying something, in general. It's too general. But in mundane astrology, you have the charts of the leaders and
Yeah,
all the
you can
full
pinpoint and say, okay, this is what's happening then. This
moon.
might bring a big event or trigger something. Yes, you can see it.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
That's it. And in Israel's chart, also almost Mars return, square to Sun, which indicates leader of Israel, or in general, the uh,
That chart
e
also
e
had a full moon. Was it a full moon 22nd? It was a full moon again at the end of,
this month, you
I mean,
mean? Next month.
no, it was a full moon, same degrees, 22nd of Scorpio Taurus at the end
Ah,
of
yeah,
May. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
May, yeah.
You're very right. Actually, what Netanyahu said, actually, we would do it just almost in April or May, but we, retarded, then we made
Yeah.
it in June because this was how we see the fate working, actually.
Yes.
Anyway, the Uranus was squaring the Mars of Israel's child, and there was bombings, of course, and always, as always, and now we have nuclear risk. Uranus is related with nuclear as well. So these are showing that, as well as the lunation 20 degrees Sag and Gemini was working on Jupiter-Uranus opposition of Israel's chart. So Israel was taking important effect during that time. And look at the Iran. Um, Inside we see Iran's mundane chart, and outside we see Netanyahu and Trump's composite charts.
Hmm.
They have many planets falling on Leo, and Iran
Oh, the
has
composite
Leo
chart.
rising.
Okay, sorry. Just to explain what a composite chart is when
Sure.
you combine, two charts together and create the mean points of course, you have to know the ascendant, you have to know at the time as well of the people born. And this is also a relationship chart that you can find for synastries, like, okay.
Mhm.
So what Honor says here is that he combined the two charts and created the composite one, which together as a couple, as one unified power, create a new
Mhm.
chart, which is on Iran's. I'll continue. Sorry for this interruption. I
No,
just
no,
wanted to
no.
explain because people, not everyone knows what a composite chart is. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much for that. Yes, as you said, the composite chart indicates what these two have uh, when they are together, all the energies, and their relationship with the other parties or other nations, as you can see. So, what are we seeing now at the moment? These two are affecting Iran, on Iran. And Pluto means very destructive. Saturn means pressing on someone. And Mercury means to talk and take some decides about that. And the Sun means to manage. Mars means war. All are indicating Iran's chart and working very destructively on this chart. And the last full moon was also squaring the Mars degree of Iran. So we see that the war is going on at the moment. And what happened in the sun around that time? On Friday, the 13th geomagnetic storm, as you see, there was an important geomagnetic storm which was on level of G3, a very important one. And so we are seeing that we have a full moon, and before that the sun started to be active, and now we have a geomagnetic storm. And then what happened on June 13th? On the same day, as you can see,
Yeah.
everything started with Israeli operation, then returned to war. And on June and June 14 and 15, it continued. And as you can see, there was Mars on the ascendant, according to the chart, but the chart which is dependent on Tel Aviv. And when you look at that, this operation was named Rising Leon. And look at what? Yeah, rising Leon. It's very astrological. So Israel started to do this operation or war, let's say. This is the beginning day. What is the name of the operation? Rising Leon. And look at that chart. According to Tel Aviv, Leo was rising. And Mars in Leo on the ascendant, the horizon. Mars means war. So I think this is because this is very astrological, probably they use astrology. Probably, I cannot know. And then when we look at what happened around that time, we had a very important X flare, especially in the 18, but just before that, on the 16, MX M 8.4 means very close to X point, X level flare, and X 1.2, X flare, important, and X 1.9, again, very important. So this is around the solstice. And when we look at the solstice chart, we see that Sun and Jupiter were together, squaring to Neptune and Saturn in Aries, and the horizon of Tel Aviv again. So this again indicates that there will be something very important. Let's return back and
I don't
see
like this solstice. I don't like it.
solstice chart.
Yeah.
Solstice chart,
No,
yeah.
no, no. I don't like this, the energy of the solstice.
This,
Solstice.
yeah, very martial, very martial. Let's return back in full moon in Sagittarius. Mars was on the horizon when we cast the chart
Yeah.
around that area, Tel Aviv. Now, in solstice, we have Sun Jupiter together. Sun Jupiter conjunction is benefit we call very good. It gives you ability to increase. You know, this is benefit, but Jupiter is combust very close to the sun and so distracted, although it's very powerfully placed in Cancer. And Saturn and Neptune are squaring this.
Mm-hmm.
So we cannot say that only we have Sun Jupiter conjunction. This is good. But what about their square with Saturn and Neptune in warrior areas? So the very national Cancer, very protective Cancer, um, indicates that people would try to protect themselves, their families, both in Israel, in Iran, and the other
Mm-hmm.
areas, as well as
Mm-hmm.
Turkey,
Mm-hmm.
because we are very close to the area. And if there are something bad related with nuclear, it would affect all of us, not only that area. So they are trying to protect themselves.
By magnifying the feeling as well, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because as you said, Jupiter magnifies, increase whatever it conjunct with. And what happened around that time, 21 June, solstice chart, and as you can see in Tehran, Iran, Neptune was almost at the MC. So there will be some big struggling related with the managing authorities. And at top, they have Neptune and Saturn energy. And then when you look at the astrocartography chart, this Saturn-Neptune conjunction was falling on Tehran, almost exactly on Tehran, Iran. And Jupiter and the Sun, they were passing from Jordan, of course, Syria, of course, but Israel, we have seen.
Wow.
So
Wow.
what happened? Yes, according to Washington, D.C., by the way, the Uranus was at the tip of the chart. Pluto was on the ascendant. So power, there will be power struggles, and their president, Donald Trump, started to show his power, army power, and
Demonstrate the power that I have.
exactly. And Pluto is the ruler of the MC, which we have Scorpio. The ruler of the MC indicates President Donald Trump. Pluto on the ascendant indicates that he will be fighting. Then I said to myself, yes, America, the United States will be in this war. And what
May I
happened?
ask you something before we go
Sure,
to that? I don't
sure,
know if you are using in conjunctions at all.
sure,
I
sure.
do use them. Do see them because I have a natal Sun Pluto in conjunction. So whatever
Hmm.
people feels right now, this is my natal promise. Anyway,
Yeah.
so both the Ingress chart of for Cancer, Sun in Cancer, and the new moon in
Uh-huh.
Cancer, there is this yods via
Yeah.
Mars in Virgo, also Pluto in Aquarius, and
Yes.
all goes towards showing towards the finger of God, showing towards the Cancer. This
Yeah.
the it's like a survival or a fear. Is there going to be something direct? It's indirect. This is what I'm saying. Yes
Yeah.
and no. It's like showing, I don't know, maybe there's something which works behind the scenes. Is it direct or not? Do you
Uh-huh.
feel it like this, for the next 3 months, let's say, which shows the ingress chart of Sun as a solstice? Do you
Yes.
feel that it's going to be on and off and working things behind the scenes? And there is a fear, but and death on top of us.
Yes, I think there will be because July is coming stronger, more problematic than June. And the August as well. We will have Mars, Neptune, and Saturn opposition with Jupiter in the midpoint. So we know that these are especially August 7, 9, between 7 August, 9 August, it is very effective. So
Mhm.
let's put it to somewhere. And we have on the 24th of July, sorry, 24th July, we will have a Plutonic new moon in 2 degree of Leo opposing to Pluto, 2 degree of Aquarius.
Yeah.
But here, as you said, there was finger of God, Yod, aspect pattern. Mars here, Jupiter and the Sun are here, and King Kongs to the Pluto, which is on the ascendant. So finger of God means it is very faithful that
Yeah.
again the US would show its power, but because this is also related with the public, in turn, Iran could do something to the US. Um, I hope it does not work like that. But remember, in 2001, there was Twin Tower, bombings. I hope we don't have something like that. Even I don't want to
Of
say
course
it
you
once
don't
again.
want, but this in conjunction between the Sun and the Pluto shows
Mhm.
when people do not see your power or do not believe you can do something.
Sure,
I have
but
witnessed it, experienced it because I have it natally,
mhm,
and I know that sometimes you don't believe, not me, or the others do not believe for me that I am powerful or I have the power to, not I'm powerful,
mhm,
is the things that you cannot see. So yes, I could see a response in another way, just
yeah,
like you said it, which
exactly.
we
But
don't want to, but anyway, yeah.
all in all, we have Pluto on the ascendant, which indicates that next 3 months will be harsh for the US. And there will be very transformational changes in the US because Uranus in the dip of the chart, I mean in the IC, very close to 29 degrees, which is analytical degree.
Yeah.
And Uranus is related with nuclear, related with earthquakes, related with something else, which is distracting actually. Anyway, U.S. strikes Iran just one day later than Cancer ingress, even at that night actually. And what was in the sun around that time? Uh, Actually, not big solar flare. But what is going on at the moment? A hole, a coronal hole in the sun, as you can see here, is turning to the Earth side. By the way, this is the 10th returning of that coronal hole to Earth side.
It looks like
And
a
in
chart, right?
Yeah, these are not sunspots. These are
Yeah.
big holes
Fault.
which is on the corona of the sun, but very powerful ones which can affect some solar flares. Here, the uh, the scientists are saying that it could affect some G1 class geomagnetic storms, but I'm expecting more than that. And as I rely on the heliocentric charts, it could be G3, G4 solar storm, you know, very likely. But we will see. What time? Around June 25. Around June 25. What do we have? We have a new moon
Moon.
in conjunction with Jupiter. Just one day before it, on the 24th, we have Sun-Jupiter conjunction. What Jupiter indicates, as you said, something big. Jupiter increase whatever it conjuncts with. So what is coming? Let's see from the chart. New moon is again in conjunction with Jupiter but square to Saturn and Neptune. As you already said, also King Kong's aspect to Pluto and sextiles to Mars. So we still have something important here. And just a few days later, Mercury will ingress to Leo, opposing to that Pluto. Mercury is triggering planet, triggering something with the words, big words. And according to Washington, D.C., this also is very close to the horizon, Asena. The first sign, although it falls to 12th house, it is the
It
first
is, yeah.
sign when we use whole sign houses. And this square is very important again. So when we put this chart on the US chart, new moon on the US charts, we see that they have about to take a Jupiter return. And this falls on Jupiter, which
Yep.
is good actually, in general. But what about the ninth sign, eighth sign and ninth house? What about it? Eighth house is related with economy, the banking, and the shared finances. But of course, it's also related with the taxes and what people borrowed, actually the credits, all everything. And it also is related with inflation in general. America is a big country. They make good money, maybe yearly, but also they have
Always a
big
lot.
credit. Yeah, yeah. And so that could be a stagflation very soon. What stagflation means? When are having inflation, at that time, we have a stationary in business. So there will be a stagflation, which is likely, and Saturn is very close to the IC with Neptune, which will, affect people's daily life. And when we look at the Donald Trump's chart, it falls to the 11th house, the 12th sign actually, and very close to his Mercury. That means he will be saying something, as always, actually, he's saying something, and he's trying to be very impressive all the times. Uh, and he will be the one, again, who will decide something important very soon, maybe just in 3, 4 days after the new moon. So the end of June is very important, 29th, 30th of June. After this new moon, I think everything is gonna start once again to be very difficult. And I put Elon Musk chart because this lunation, this new moon is very important to him, very close to his birthday.
Yeah.
So something will be turning around him as well. What I am saying this because we have the new moon falling the eighth sign in the US chart, which is related with economy. Although they will have some economical big problems, they will try to find a solution, and probably Elon Musk will be announcing something or will be putting something on the table about the new financial system. Because new moons or full moons in alignment with Jupiter are always related with capitalism,
Hmm.
money and big money actually.
Yeah.
So I think Elon Musk will be talking about new, because there's a new moon, new financial system around this time, beginning from the 25th of June up to uh, the full moon on the 10th of July. We will see the results of these new beginnings in July, around the 10th of it. But before than that, I think we will understand what is going on behind the scenes.
There is also a Venus Jupiter conjunction mid-August, which
Mhm.
aligns with Elon Musk, and there is also in conjunction there as well. Um, but are you thinking it's going to be a suggestion so that he can bring back Trump to his favor, or is it going something for him? Starting, I can give you the solution, so I'm starting um, like an organization or a system that promotes himself and his ideas.
Yeah,
What's confusing what I said?
no, very good. Thank you very much for talking about this. His Mercury is on Sirius, and Jupiter-Venus conjunction will be on the 13th degree, 14th degree of Cancer in conjunction with Sirius again. So the effects will be big
Hmm.
because Sirius always makes something bigger than it is. And because this falls on the Mercury of Elon Musk, he can found something new. Maybe in his own company, I don't know. Maybe he can do something only for himself.
Yeah.
But I don't think he can found something. He can start something which will be very important for him in later days. And if I would give him a suggestion, I would say that use this new moon on the 25th, but be careful or use also the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, which will happen in August, which will increase the prices in general, and you can have the good consultations, good consult conclusions of what you have already have with the Sun Jupiter conjunction. And around that conjunction, actually, I'm expecting the silver prices to rise up. I don't have his chart here, but in
Well,
silver's
you're talking
chart,
about August, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
in silver chart, the sun is in 13 degree of Cancer, if I'm not wrong. So uh, this
This was your
Jupiter,
presentation
yeah,
at the
yeah, I told
conference. I could
at
not
the conference.
understand Turkish, otherwise I could see the charts. Yes.
Yes, now I'm expecting silver to get high or rise even more than gold in the next 2 months,
Wow.
actually. Yeah, this is my suggestion. This is my prediction, not
Yeah.
a suggestion financially. So let me tell
Yeah.
you about that. I'm not a financial consultant, but I can say that the gold will be increasing, but I think the silver will be increasing more than that. And when we look at the chart, according to Tel Aviv, it stands still at the top of the midheaven, very important for them. And when we look at this conjunction on Venus, what do we think? I hope a peace comes. I hope the war stops at least for a while.
Yeah.
Although I see it is very difficult because in most of the mundane astrologers' book, such as, for example, the French astrologer in his planetary cycle book, he's saying that yes, in Jupiter Sun conjunctions, almost war ended or peace came to that area. I hope so. Let's hope that
Let's
with this
hope, of course.
conjunction, everything stops at least for a while. Although July is coming a bit harsh, as I said, as well as the August, but let's hope. This is just a hope. And in Benjamin Netanyahu's chart, this falls to the again seventh house, eighth sign, and not big effects actually on his chart, but at least squaring to his Mercury. And according to Tehran, Iran, Pluto is in the IC, a very destructive place. Uranus in the eighth. So I think for Iran, the next few days will be very harsh. If the war does not
Does not stop.
stop,
Yes.
then I think it will be very destructive when we see that Pluto just in the IC. And when we look at the Iran's chart, although not very strictly, this new moon squares the sun in the Iran's chart, and Mars is coming to conjunct with Saturn and opposing to its place. Around July 2021, we will have Mars in conjunction with the lunar nodes, which could be very destructive warrior energy, which is close to Iran's Mars. So I think July would be more destructive for Iran, both economically and in person. Economically, because these are the second and eighth houses, so this is also related with economy, economical problem, money, and
Yeah.
everything. They have their sources, as well as their, Mars indicates the army in general, and Mercury, of course.
Yeah.
And in their prime minister's chart,
Oh,
Mesut Pezeshkian, yeah, he had many planets in Scorpio, the Sun in Libra. So this squares the Sun of Mesut Pezeshkian's chart, and Saturn and Neptune opposing to this Sun. So it is really very problematic for him as well.
the pressure. It's a
Yeah,
pressure.
pressure, big pressure and problem. So lastly, a few slides on heliocentric astrology. This is for the 24th of June. We are on 23rd now, and on the 24th, we will have Jupiter and Earth opposition. That means we will have Sun-Jupiter conjunction, as you can see on the ephemeris 24th, Jupiter and the Earth, with Mars still opposing to Neptune. Big solar activities or CMAs are likely because, as we have seen, the coronal hole is about to turn the Earth side on the 25th. This is the 24th, very close to that time. So this could affect the earthquakes. Sorry, this is Turkish, but what is written at the top? Haziran means June 2025. Deprem means earthquake, and tahmini means prediction.
Okay.
So this is an earthquake prediction. 24, 27 of June is very important time to be care of the earthquakes because the new moon with Jupiter is falling to our area, Aegea, Aegea Sea, and Greece and Turkey in
Yeah.
between. We should be careful because Cancer also indicates the sea in general, sea, oceans.
Yeah.
So it's likely that there would be some earthquakes in the sea. And the Ege, in Turkish Ege, we call it Ege, is important for Greece and Turkey as well. So we should be careful about that. And for July, in the first 4 days are important, as well as in August, first 6 days.
The ones
So
that you
this,
said, which is very, there is a tension in the beginning of July.
Yeah, beginning of July, tension as well as the earthquakes, still a tension is going on. Yes, we know that. But on the other side, we should be careful for our area. And, there is a gossip about there will be a big earthquake in Japan in the 5th of July. This is like a legend. This is not astrological, by the way.
Oh,
Um, there was, I think, writer who dreamed about all these. I mean, in her dream, she
okay.
saw that there will be big destructive earthquake around Japan, which actually she warned about this in 2011, and there was a big earthquake, level of 9, as you remember.
Yeah.
And there was a nuclear problem around that time, and it was very big one. Now she's saying that she's warning that there will be a big one in the 5th of July this
Oh, that's a
summer.
precise date, right?
Yeah, in July. And by the way, you remember Cecily Han from
Yeah,
Taiwan?
yeah.
She just made an interview with me just a week ago, and she asked about this. And I said, showing that this new moon is also falling from that area, Japan.
Yeah.
And maybe I can show it. May I show it, by
Of
the
course,
way?
of course.
So, this is the chart of the Cancer
Oh,
ingress of the sun uh,
about Tokyo.
on Tokyo, yeah, Japan. And when we look at that, oh no, sorry. Yes, here it is. The new moon. This new moon will be falling on that area and on the sea, you see, and
Hmm.
Japan is here. So this corridor indicates that there could be a big earthquake around the new moon. So the new moon is actually on the 25th of June, but we know that it can be triggered
Of course.
in some days. So I just told her that it is likely that we can have some big earthquakes or volcanoes kind of things, but with some tsunamis, I hope we don't have, is falling this area, so they should be careful about that. Yes, this is the chart of that day.
That day, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the heliocentric chart of that day. Mercury in opposition to Uranus. And as we have seen in the chart I have showed you, 1 to 4 Temmuz, Temmuz means July,
July.
is we are at the top of this chart. Uh, these are actually all from astrologer Faye Cochrane, her series program, and she is sending me every month. And these are just predictions. We cannot know exactly, but yes, I can see that in the beginning of July, we should be careful about the
Yeah,
earthquakes.
it's intense times anyway, we know. And it's funny because I always say Jupiter Saturn squares, because you talked
Hmm.
about, these cycles and the energy.
Uh-huh.
When it started, because it was in the Gemini and Pisces, we could
Hmm.
see the problem with the sea and the trade. We could understand it. And
Hmm.
it happened once, it happened twice, and then it comes, and this was the final one, the square,
Uh-huh.
which of course
Hmm.
haven't stopped because we have the new moon and the ingress
Hmm.
start of the sun in Cancer.
Uh-huh.
But this time we have also and Neptune involved,
Yeah. Yeah.
which shows the intensifying problems or the risk for future decisions based on the trade, or if you are trapped in situations. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
using,
I
yeah,
can.
yeah,
I understand very well. Thank you. By the way, Neptune is also related with oceans. So Jupiter Saturn square means something related with oceans, or as I said, some earthquakes in the sea are, or tsunamis are possible. That's it. That's another way. And because Neptune in Aries in a fire sign, volcanoes also
Mm-hmm.
are likely big ones. Anyway, this is also a confusion in economics because Jupiter Saturn squares indicates problem in economics with Neptune including confusion in economics.
Chaos.
How, what to invest, what to do, how
Yeah,
can we, save our money? Not only new investments, but
yeah,
also saving. What do you have in your pocket? I mean, if you have $1, if you have $1 million, you know, it is the same for a person because I'm not a millionaire, but I have something which I'm trying to protect, let's say.
of course.
So this money, my money is important for me. Some others' money is important for them. Be it even $1 or $1 million, doesn't matter. We are trying to protect our investments. So yes, there is a confusion about that. And today, I didn't check it well, but probably the markets are fluctuating
Yes, yes, yes.
because we have Sun Neptune square today, and we already had Jupiter Neptune square, and now we are seeing the results of it. Although this is a separating aspect, still we are in it. So yes, the confusion on investment will be continuing in the next few days, but in July as well, in August as well, because there will be some other aspect patterns in the sky, especially in August.
Mm-hmm.
Mars in Libra, opposite to Neptune and Saturn in Aries, square to Jupiter in Cancer. And Jupiter mostly indicates money, capital, bank. So banking crisis is also likely.
Yes.
We have already seen some of them. But also Jupiter in Cancer related with food prices or food production, this kind of problems. Yeah, we are mostly talking about the problems.
I
But
know.
yeah, but maybe lastly, I think we are about to close because we have
Yeah.
spent so much time with you. Thank you very much for that. Um, but I think uh, investing something local would be fine in that moment. Traditional, something traditional. For example, traditional Greek, traditional Turkish, that sort of
I love
traditional.
what you're saying. Of course, it's
Yeah,
invest in what we already know, have something which is from our past or something that gives our identity, shows our identity or how we feel comfortable with that.
exactly. And of course, the hotels, pensions, that sort of things are related with cancer, but mostly pensions,
Mm.
small ones.
Smaller, rather the
Yeah, in the traditional region and traditional tastes, traditional foods. If we invest that, I think, or we maybe someone is trying to or thinking to open a store relating with, a restaurant, but with traditional foods would be a good idea. And of course, to move the house, to to buy a house, I will say. But according to Christine Skinner, she told me 2027, the prices will be lower than
no.
this
Oh,
at the
mm.
moment. So this is her prediction. This is her saying, by the way. I'm referencing. Maybe not big ones, but if you need a house, if you want to buy a house, if you need it, yes, it can be done at the moment. So these are all in my mind at the moment.
Great. No, no, no. It was an abundance of knowledge and your insights. And it's always fantastic to hear what you have to say. My friend Öner, because
Yes, Öner, that's
Öner,
true.
I'm
Thank
trying
you.
to do it yeah, like this. It's an opportunity. We can take Jupiter as well as an opportunity that we are given right now to try to make some changes and do not destroy what we have already created, who
Mhm.
we are. Okay, so let's hope for peace and things come into a balance.
Mhm.
This is our wish, right?
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
we know it's going to be hard.
yes. With that
We're not over.
Sun Jupiter conjunction brings peace for us, everything which we need to. Let's pray for of course, our countries, our families, but for the whole world in
It's
general.
true.
And Jupiter's Saturn conjunctions are good for praying, meditation, and requirements
Mm-hmm.
from God, and that sort of thing. So maybe people who are watching us can use this energy in the next few days.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I have told you that I want, in during winter, no, I mean
Mhm.
fall, we
Mhm.
could arrange a workshop, something,
Mhm.
with one of your traditional techniques that you have, something to teach my students and any Greek person who's interested.
Sure.
That would be nice. So it's a suggestion to you. I hope we can do it.
Yes,
I
I'm sure.
really thank you for accepting this invitation and sharing so much that you had to say, my friend Öner. And people can find you YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You have your site. I'm going to have everything, the links below.
Okay.
Your books that are in English. There are so many English books you can read. Uh,
Mhm.
Easy to read, easy to understand, and you are, on the point.
Mhm.
So thank you very much, my friend. Hope to see you again in
Thank you.
person.
I hope so. I hope so.
Love you very much. You know that.
Yes, the same for you. I'm giving my best to you. Thank you very much, my
Bye
dear friend.
bye. Thank you.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Honor. Bye.
Thank you.